To earn tomorrow, you got to learn today.
This is Power 102 Digital Friday. We're standing by for Hard Talk, hosted by the Fathers slash Single Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm David McIntyre, and I'm going to be with you, and of course, with the Fathers Association for today's program. And we are dealing with the topic celebrating our C students. You know, C results came out at midnight via the Ministry of Education website. And I know a lot of excited parents, some of them, you know, laced with anxiety. Some of them are balmy. Some of them are wondering what the results will turn out to be. And some of them are even scared to look at the results. Some of them, including some of the fathers, who, because of legal dispensations, if I should use a word like that, are unable to even get close to their children. But we are standing by to start the program in a short. I'm waiting for Rondell Fields, the chairman of or the president of the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, to join me. In the meantime, let me take time out to congratulate the children, all of them who took part in the C examination. Whether you did well or not, the most important thing is that you did pass through an education institution, an educational system where you must have absorbed something, be it academic or vocation, or vocational, I should say. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. I hope that the Almighty God guide and lead you along the path of progress and, of course, achievement. And it will take a lot. You have a whole life ahead of you, and it will take a lot to distract you, and it will take a lot to motivate you into the right directions for your future endeavors. So, on behalf of Power 102 Digital Management and staffers, I want to congratulate all the children that participated in the C examinations 2024. And of course, to the parents who played their parts and who stood by their children from day one, from inception to now. I pray that they be granted God's guidance, protection, inspiration, and motivation to continue nurturing these young ones into adults, first and foremost, and of course, throughout their learning stages, you know, it go in stages, from this to that and then the other. And of course, I pray that you keep the faith and try continuously to encourage the youth, help them in whichever way you can. There are some parents who are not that academic or um, literate, if I should even use that word, in helping the children forward. But there are people who you can turn to, who you can lean on to assist in ways possible to help you nurture them. Now, it's very important that we play those parts. I mean, I have two grandsons. I have three grandsons, as a matter of fact. One is within his 20s, and the other are 10 and 5, respectively. And I will do whatever I can to assist my girl children. I have girls only, to help develop them. I know the role I have to play. I will continuously play that role as best as I can to encourage and to help them go forward to achieve, you know, goals that can stabilize and take care of them throughout the rest of their lives. I would try my best to encourage that they read a lot, that they try to educate themselves. Like the Mighty Sparrow said, without an education in your head, your whole life could be miserable and you're better off dead. Now, the way things are going these days, with the notion of violence, crimes, misbehavioral patterns, if I should say, or behavioral patterns. It's up to us, the adults and senior members of communities, to do our best to help change from negative to positive. We got to give it our all. We must try exceptionally to help, to encourage, and to foster good relationships with them. I think that is first and foremost. You must foster good relationships with these children, or these young ones, these young adults, however you want to put it, um, to understand what it takes to move forward, especially in these trying times. Things have changed tremendously and drastically. Sometimes you find adults um, remembering the old times, and they would talk like, back in the days, it was like this, and long time we could have done this, or we could not have done that. I think we should understand that we could all learn from the past, but things have changed so drastically, especially where technology is concerned. I think we have to compare and come to the reality that it's a different stage we're acting on right now. We must try our best to understand these times that are being, what should I say, the expose of these times, and what it takes to understand uh, the changing of academia and even vocation. Technology is now playing a major role. We have many devices that the youth use to educate themselves, and sometimes they come in as distractions. So we must learn to uh, cipher out which is most important. And I guess the roles that we play, especially in fostering and helping them to mature into adults, and of course, making sure that they understand what it takes to move forward via education. And education can be broken down into academia and a vocation. So I guess our role is to play supportive roles, and to encourage, and to speak positivity. And let's all try to keep away from the negative aspects of the life we now live in. So much is happening now. A lot of it is on the negative side, and we must do our best. But most of it is on the positive side, I must say. Rondell Fields, the president of the Fathers Association slash Single Fathers Association, is here with me now. Good afternoon, Rondell.
Hey, good afternoon, Mark.
Good.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
Always good to see you hold it down as well for us. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes it's really um, task. Sometimes I get there on time, juggling between work, juggling between um, business advocacy. But I mean, this is so important. This show to us is so critical that we try to take our time, and sometimes we juggling amongst ourselves, juggling our group to come here and spend this time to reach out to people and continue to encourage people to call me. We
Yes.
are going to run a serious campaign next week, Dave, where
Yeah.
we're going to encourage people to call into this show
Mhm.
every single Friday between 4 to 6. We encourage people to share this program, call in from 4 to 6, because this is the time that we're going to put aside to be able to listen to all the issues. You won't believe how many calls we get or messages that is hard for us to attend to during the week, Mark. And that
Okay.
is why we try to encourage persons, and all other persons still haven't found out about the faith. And I think it's the onus is on us to really give it a push, because we must thank our one or two digital for giving us this opportunity to be able to come here and express ourselves, come here and help people. That's why we're here, to
That's
help
right.
you when you have the issues with court issues, when you have the issues with the co-parenting, when you have the issues. with your children when you have your issues, with all these things that you feel that you want to talk to Rondell feels about, you want to talk to Shervon, you want to talk to Wendell Grant, we have set aside a Friday from 4:15 to 6 p.m. thanks to the help of Power 102 to do so. So how was your week this week, Mark?
Well,
I know it's last week.
it's always challenging. It's always an uphill battle. Sometimes I have to jump off the hill. Sometimes I have to rock off the track and take a rest and make sure that I'm rejuvenated to continue. But it's an every time uphill battle, and you cannot throw in the sponge. You cannot throw your hands up in the air. You just have to keep on striving and making
Correct,
ends meet and to go forward.
correct. And nice it, eh?
Hmm.
And today, I told you I wanted us to focus on the SEA students. In the second half of the show, we
Yeah.
actually reached out to a couple of the students and their dads, who's going to join us from about 5 o'clock later on in the show. There a little information on what was the experience for them, how they weathered the storm, a little bit of the experience of the father as well. And that's directed to do with single father today. I mean, there's generally fathers and all fathers treat with these kind of situations because normally people think that many fathers are not always involved in the academic sphere of things. And then honestly, sometimes some fathers say, their mommy do that for whatever reason. So we're going
Hmm.
to speak to these fathers, find out what was their role. Was it more the academic role? Was it more the role of the disciplinarian that comes in and enforces what mommy says that they need to do? What was their approach? What was their strategy? Speak to the kids themselves and find out what were some of the stresses they endured. Find
Hmm.
out if they endured any real stress from the exam, how they dealt with the anxiety, how they felt after receiving the results. And to me, Mark, I think this part and process of children's life is such an important thing, not just from the examination standpoint, sorry, but from the standpoint more so that it is a memory building opportunity
Hmm.
to be able to rehash the commitment of your parents standing by your side, those who had their parents to sit by their side, to be able to rehash the commitment of your teachers, the commitment of your peers, the commitment of those who are a part of your journey. I think this is a memorable thing. Even in my day, and possibly even your day when we had the common entrance, we
Yes.
still have those memories. We still have those memories of the instructions your mother might have given you, a little bit of licks in our days they may have given you as well. The
Yeah.
instructions of your teacher, your standard. And in my situation, my mother was my standard 5 teacher.
Right.
So she was teacher home and teacher in school. So you were being taught all the time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it was a hell of a task. It was something that I still look back and laugh at times.
Hmm.
Uh, normally they always talk about some children being good at home and then when they're going, or being good at school rather, and when they're home they get in trouble. I was one of those who didn't have that opportunity because my school was right at home with me. So most definitely, I mean, we have those experiences and we're looking forward to listening to those experiences as well.
Hmm.
Before we go back into the major topic, and I mean, we want to encourage people, let me get those numbers, Emma, to
Yeah.
call throughout the show. If you see you on Facebook, if you see you just listening on any other platform, if we share it on our Single Fathers Association's page, I'm asking you guys to share it on the Single Fathers Association's page right now as well. We want you all to call in. The numbers to call in is 222-8255. Call in if you want to congratulate any child. It doesn't need to be your child, a child that you knew. If you just want to give a general greeting to all children and their contribution and their attempt at the examinations, call in if you have issues that you want me to speak to, you want me to address. They could never have so many people messaging me during the week that when they come here, they are afraid to literally get on the phone and make a call to us. The
Well,
number again,
as a matter of
222.
fact, I have a call on the line.
Let's go.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Very much.
Hi. Good afternoon, my brother.
How are you doing? Good afternoon to the good gentleman. I'm sorry, I just happened to be flew home a bit early. So I say I ain't talking about, and then I tune in to the best guy on the turntables as far as I'm concerned, which is you, Daddy Mac. And then I say I talked to Daddy Mac for a while, and next thing I hear you and the good gentleman on. So I just popped to say hello,
Okay.
And and that's basically how so basically you guys talking about the SCA.
Yes.
Right.
And how fathers, and from a father's outlook or from a father's vision.
Right. Correct. I mean, I just sending greetings. So if you want to send greetings to the children as well.
Yes, greetings to the children, man. And back in our days, we did it well. We are all old men now. Well, speak for yourself, I a young boy. I young in my mind, but the body saying a different thing, right? But I remember doing common insurance, just like you guys, and I would never forget that number. I'll never forget I still to this day remember my common insurance number.
True.
See it? Yeah. Because I wasn't always one that had an examination temperament, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
You would know this stuff, but but as I matured and I grew older, and I think that personally, I think this is something that the good gentleman, on which you seems to be quite an expert on the subject matter. Not that you and I don't also as parents, but he may seem to have a little extra something. And I think that this is where they should consider getting some sort of counselors in the schools too, because there are lots of children, and I speak as a personal testimonial, where I knew my stuff, you know what I'm saying? And it even plagued me when I went up to secondary school. But later on, when I went to college and stuff, when I went to university later on, and so on, I was able to break that because I confessed that to one of my, I think in my freshman year, and I told the professor, yes, sir, I really don't have examination temperament or whatever. And he said, I'm glad you mentioned that to me, because he said there's nothing strange and nothing new, right? And it is something, and I was given tools to, so to speak, to help deal with that, because when I did some of my Cambridge subjects, right?
Yeah.
I was like, how come I get the grade that I did? And it's because I had some kind of a psychological block, which, as I just defined, was examination, anxieties or temperament. So I will leave you all with that. You could, converse, amongst us and among ourselves about it. But I don't know how you feel about it. But as I said, I remember my common insurance number, and you know what? If I could remember that, why the rest didn't flow? You know what I'm saying? And that's gonna be that side effect of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's good talking to you, gentlemen.
Okay, man.
Yes,
and I will listen off the air. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling, Paul, and we encourage you guys keep calling, sharing your stories, your sentiments, and that's actually a very good point that you made, and that's something I was going to raise. Is this style of on this educational system when it comes to examination? I'm not saying examination is bad, but is it the way that all people learn? Is it does it provide or does it help you with the critical thinking that you may need throughout your life? I've heard people share the sentiments that I've heard them share here, that there are many people sometimes with just examinations, doing tests, that at some point in life, you need to sometimes do open book tests. Sometimes you need to do research no matter how much you memorize. Sometimes you need to see how well you can research and apply what you've researched to a problem. You understand? Yeah. So, I mean, I take his point and I agree with it to the extent. And I think what he said, and I didn't articulate, I think he said that he reached out to a professor and the professor kind of gave him tools to deal with the examination part.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I think that was wise on his behalf as well, so that
Hmm.
he realized he had an issue. So possibly he was doing well all the time, and we have many children that do that. They perform well, but then because of examination conditions, they have
Hmm.
an issue. And then
Yes.
I could tell you another issue I had with the exams as well. I know for sure my penmanship always caused me to get a lower mark. Just basic penmanship. I
Yeah.
believe if it was a verbal exam, or like, oh, you have oral exams,
Yes.
but sometimes penmanship as well. Sometimes when you're nervous, you write faster, you write more unclear, you
Mm.
write to leave words out. So it's something that I know has been the space where people have had that dialogue as into if examination or end the term, just the normal end the term examination, is it
Yeah.
something that is too stressful? Is it necessary? Or is it valuable or not?
Well, where that is concerned, I think a lot of thought should be put into that examination venturing, because I think times have changed. There's so much that is calling for a new approach
Right.
towards the educating of children. Especially with the e-world we are living in now. There's
Correct.
so much. There's so much. There's AI. There are so much different platforms on which you can, you know, um, jump off to educate yourself. And some people, like I said earlier on, some of us are old school thinkers. We think that it should be this way, and we should, if you don't have an academic or background, you're a dunce, or what they say now, fully dunce. you know.
Fully done.
But
Fully done is a different.
yeah, I look at it. I've been looking at it differently for many, many years. It always bothered me that the education system is of such that they're teaching children to get subjects. You must get your subjects. You must get your subjects. And when you look at it, Rondell, a lot of young people who were not academic and who were more into vocation, they earn more money than the academic in most instances. A man who could do very good in carpentry or fabricate and welding, masonry, electrical. Sometimes when you hear the kind of money these guys will be working for per day, it's nowhere in comparison to the intellectual who's all dressed up in a nice tie and behind a desk. So I used to,
Correct, correct.
yeah, I saw that from a very long time, and I used to be wondering, why don't the education system start introducing vocation from primary school?
And I totally agree with that. And I think even more so than just the introduction
Yeah,
of the vocation in primary school
yeah,
is the sensitization as well.
that's
Because learning a trade is education as well. I
of course
always
it's academic too.
always say education is learning with an intent, with a purpose. So sometimes to me, I can see vocation, I can see trade, I can see culinary arts, I can see
Yeah,
barbering, I can see
yes,
all these things, musical talent, drama,
hmm,
all these things.
yeah,
I sometimes see that these things and these forms of education
yeah,
get people even faster, and I just said, even more prosperous end of life. You
yes,
understand?
yes,
So I often wonder why we don't sensitize the public as though these things are form of education also. Because children definitely, I believe every child is gifted in some way or the other.
that's
And
right.
some children are academically gifted. They enjoy studying. They
Mm,
enjoy researching. They enjoy picking up a book, sit down, reading. From small, sometimes you see it, and sometimes it's borrowed behavior, not borrowed. I would say inherited behavior, or sometimes observed behavior from the parent before them. They may
yes,
have a father who's a doctor, a mother who's a doctor, or a mother who's a avid reader, a writer, a father who's a writer.
mhm,
And because they've seen it so much, it's
mhm,
piqued their interest. I can tell you, as a businessman, it's very similar with me and my sons. It's because they've seen a lifestyle and they believe, well, hey, this is something that I can enjoy as well, that
mhm.
they've grafted towards that direction also.
Yeah,
So,
the caller is back on the line with us, Rondell. Let me interrupt you
yeah,
for a
let's go again.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon again, gentlemen. And I do apologize. I have two apologies here. My first is I apologize for double dipping here, but I'm so
No, man, this man.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm hearing it. And Daddy Mac could tell you, sir, I am not the brightest bulb in the chandelier, and it is the sharpest pencil in the pencil case, right? And so it doesn't take much to impress me, but I'm very impressed. And the other apology I have is sorry for being, not having some manners here, but could you introduce me with the good gentleman that you have on as your guest today?
Oh, this is Rondell Fields. He's the president of the Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Previously, it was the Single
Oh, wait
Fathers.
a minute.
Yes.
This is the man?
This
This
is
is the
Yeah.
man that I've heard quite a bit and read about in a sense. Right. In relation
Right,
to
man.
fathers and especially single parent fathers and stuff like that,
Right.
and fathers, right?
Correct.
Hey, God bless you, man. Wow.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I feel like in person I'll be looking to get an autograph or something from you, man. God bless you, man. Yeah. Yeah, because I no longer live in the crumbling Empire State of New York, where when I lived outside McDale, just outside McDale, based here in Tampa Bay, and I moved to New York. And then people here, fellas here, when I had moved to New York, but I ain't in the crumbling Empire State no more. And they say, where you going? New York. They say, you know what's the food chain in New York? Here's how it goes: child, woman, right? Dog, cat, even laboratory rat. You don't hear man nowhere in there. Okay. So if you get divorced in New York and is nuclear regular, marriage,
Right.
forget about it. You will get taken to the cleaners, unless of course you have a good understanding with your ex-wife. But anyway, look, what I wanted to say here, as you're speaking about the vacations and stuff and all that, and that is so true, because I remember in fifth standard, before I did common entrance, my they always, I don't know, but I knew in certain sectors of our society back then, I don't know so much for now, everybody used to just encourage you to be doctors and lawyers, and they feel that they were, when you do that profession, you're really rich. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they played down the vocational arts so badly. Let me tell you a thing, each one had its strengths and weaknesses, right? Each person had a gifts, and where they're stronger than areas than others. I would never call anybody a dummy.
Correct.
When I say so, I may know how to do certain things that you may know, and the good gentleman himself too, right?
Correct.
But there are fellows who know certain things that you and we would know where to start. And I'll give you an example. I was so bad when it came to the maintenance of not the maintenance of my vehicle, but my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I get you.
That my then wife, I would first say, "Hey, hon, what is this?" When I opened the hood, right? And I ain't ashamed to admit it. But and in the same way, the same doctor and the same lawyer, or the same so-called greater professional, some people like you call them back then, right? They still have to read on the little auto mechanic.
Correct.
Have their own lives in their hands. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Adjusting the brakes and this and stuff like that, right? And so, and another thing too, I'm sure you know of individuals who are very successful entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And they never went to college.
Correct.
And yet, all the guys that went to college and get PhDs and so on. And I'm not playing down that. But the fact is that, you know what? But the fact is, you end up working for somebody who didn't go to college. And sometimes I just wonder myself, well, did I waste my time doing that? Because guess what? When a plumber has to visit me, and came and they give me a bill just for turning out. You born, oh Lord, as they get cat 9 tears from the late great Aeneas Wills. Remember that, Judge?
Yes.
So anyway, but that's a very good point that you're making there in relation to that, and it's something that they should really let we need more counselors in the schools, people who can really see, right, and able to evaluate the skills and capabilities of the young impressionable minds, so at least they put them in the right track. Because many a times I see a lot of kids go off to the so-called higher education, and they don't come back with education. They come back normally indoctrinated,
Mm.
and they come back with debt, not an education.
Hmm.
So true.
So anyway, thanks again, gentlemen.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling. And we want to encourage guys call in 222-8255,
Yes, you can.
222-8255.
Mhm.
Give your commendations, give your greetings to the children, give your views. We're talking about education. We're talking about this transit, this examination, the SEA examination, and obviously, if we're talking about the SEA examination, it's going to examine all the fields of education, all the directions that it goes in, the things that may be right, the things that may be wrong, and these are the discussions that we need to have. And the gentleman is right, and the same thing we are saying here, Mark. Same thing we've been saying for a while.
Yeah.
Are we viewing education in a confined space? Should it be broader? And when we broaden that, I think it's only at that point in time we're going to realize children didn't fail or do badly when they do a particular exam. They
Yeah.
may have done an academic exam and not excelled to the greatest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
think about an artist. If you have an examination or you have a sketch pad where the exam is based solely on art and a child is gifted artistically, the
Mhm.
child that is gifted academically with no inclination to art
That's
will
right.
do horribly, while
Yeah.
the artistic one will be the scholar.
That's right.
So it's really for us to open the way we think and for us to see things in children.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and he's right, you see the old traditional ways and the old traditional cultures really have stifled us. So you look at a young boy sometimes, he's the one who we call the class clown
Mhm.
because he has everybody laughing. He
Yeah.
has everybody falling for the jokes. He's the who they would consider the prankster.
Mhm.
Not knowing that this young man may be displaying attributes that he may be a gifted comedian.
Of
Look at guys like Kevin Hart,
yes.
Martin Lawrence,
Yes.
Chris Rock. Some of them that use a little vulgarity and say no.
Yeah.
But I mean, generally,
Yeah.
the comedic sphere is now a massive fair where they're selling out concerts in the millions by millions. We've
Yeah.
known for years musical talent, musical gift, people who could sing. They'd
Yeah.
sell out stadiums for years gone by.
Yeah.
So we have to be able, as not only the teacher as well sometimes sees the gift, but we as parents, particularly, we
Yeah.
can't only want to go in that cultural vein where we only observe or see our children's talent as down the academic road.
That's right.
We as the parents first must observe our children.
Of course.
Some as small as they are, some children, you buy the little building blocks and you
Mm.
see he putting things on top of things and he building things and he doing things. While
Mhm.
they see another one reading,
Yeah.
children are differently inclined at times,
Mhm.
similarly inclined at times, and you as the parent, as the first guardian there,
Mhm.
need to know, hey, I can tell that this is where the gift is, sorry, in my child. I
Yeah.
can tell that this is where the gift is in my other child.
Mhm.
And when we observe that first, it is easier for us to help them find that train to be successful.
Yes. And you know, sometimes it starts with one and morphs into another, you know
Correct.
you might see well, I look at my two grandsons and they are amazing little fellas. I call one Einstein because he's very good academically and he has other talents. He likes art. He likes, building stuff. He likes challenges. He likes things like chess and all of that. And the other one, he's more like the entertainer. But yet still now, I was shocked when my daughter showed me his end of term results at school. And he's like the one with the flair. But when I look at his results, I say, wait, this is a hidden talent that the boy has. The boy got a lot of A's. So I was saying, this boy, he's different. So in the family now, I'm the one who observes. and I am the one who will recognize certain talents. But you rightly said you can observe that, and then sometimes it morphs. It might start off like he likes to. They play pan, all right. They might like to play pan. Who knows? They might move away from that and like some other form of entertainment or whatever academia or whatever vocation. But when
Correct.
you observe their talents, you know you just have to be more observant now and look at to where they're going, because now it's so much different. There are so many different avenues and media
Correct.
by which they can access and develop. It's important that we really observe and play that first observant part. The teacher will come in next, or even people like you and me who would see
Correct.
you play in the streets. We can observe and sort of come to a conclusion. Well, this is where this youth is going, and you assist.
Correct.
You have to always look out for it morphing into something else.
Correct. I totally agree with you. I just holding the phone close to me, the rain falling. So again, a little problems there here. So you all, I beg your pardon. But I totally agree with your Mark, and I think that's part of our mandate to see the gifts in our children, because they make us so proud when
Of
they
course.
do those great things. When
Yes.
they, when you see them on the cricket pitch, and some of them are inherited. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing that I could tell you with my two sons and the different things they've inherited. My younger son, I've never played cricket and enjoyed it. And inherently, my father was an exceptional. I've heard so many stories of him being an opening batsman, and
Yeah.
I've seen great similarity with my younger son.
Yeah.
I like basketball. The older one has taken after me with the basketball. But
Right.
it's so amazing to see them sometimes just um inherently, like just they just inherit some of those gifts that you
Yeah.
have had without having to teach them too much or stress on them doing something too much. But
Yeah.
when you see that spark and
Mm.
you just feed it, you
Yeah.
feed it with a little fuel of positivity. You
Yeah.
feed it with a fuel of giving them your time, your
Mm.
commitment,
Mhm.
carrying them to the sessions that they need to go to. If they're into drama, if they're into singing, if
Yeah.
they're into music,
Yeah.
music right now as well, Dave. I'm sure you know, Mac, is a big, because there's so little people these days that are getting involved in it. As I say, the fan, the piano, the
Yeah.
guitar,
Yes.
these things, these things are things that create a great deal of opportunity for persons that they never imagined that they could have had.
That's right.
So
That's true.
all these things, I believe, are meaningful forms of education.
Mhm.
It's meaningful. It's things we should be proud in our education system to promote, to
Mhm.
support. And I think we need. I remember telling one of the ministers at some point, I would be so excited if I saw a prestigious vocational school. You know,
Yeah.
the same kind of accolades we give to the prestigious schools who get so many scholarships.
Yes.
I would I would feel so pleased to
Mhm.
see a vocational school that holds that same validity in society. And
Yes.
you then have the opportunity for vocational scholarships,
Mm.
meaning for possibly sponsorship for startup for small businesses, maybe
Yeah.
to pay for courses for them to learn financial literacy, financial intelligence, certain life skills that they will take for the rest of their lives.
Of course.
So another thing we should jump into as well, Dave. What about the times when you've put so much into the child just to pass the exam at the SEA level or the common entrance level?
Yeah.
They get the first choice, and then both parent and child just believe it's all done from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something that exists as well. You know?
Yes. Of course.
I don't know if it's a level of burnout, or I don't know if from that point the parent believes, well, hey, time to pass the baton, I've done what they want. I don't know if it's a position of also um, um, I want you to get into that school so there wouldn't be any embarrassment on the family,
Yeah.
embarrassment on you, embarrassment toward me. They say that you didn't pass with your first choice or you passed for junior sec. You understand? So I truly, truly wonder sometimes if the levels of effort that we exert at this point, because for some reason, common entrance is like the big hoorah. SEA, even though CXC holds validity, I still think that SEA and what school you pass for is something that people see as a demarcation in your life.
Yeah, so true.
So, I mean, I definitely want to encourage parents. This is the type of discussions that I have. Those young children, I love to encourage young children, particularly those who may not have hit the mark that they wanted to hit. I can tell you that in CXC, I didn't hit the mark I wanted to hit. Same thing with common entrance. I didn't hit the mark I wanted to hit either. Yet, that didn't limit my opportunity to become successful later on.
Right.
You for yourself at times, even if your parents don't see that at point in time, have to search your own souls, search your own abilities, your own talents, your own desires, and see what you think you are best at. And sometimes encourage your parents to see it too, persevere to get better at it, and be the best that you can at it.
Yeah.
Because I think and I understand the way how our society views and deems that once you don't hit a goal, that you are a failure. But I would like to speak to those children today who possibly didn't get their first choice, who possibly didn't get any of their choices, possibly got their fourth choices, possibly possibly just got zoned. If I tell the number of business partners that I am a businessman myself. I own Millennium Auto dealership today. You understand? I did no business subject, zero. I did languages. So if I tell young people to stay hopeful, if I tell young people the value of believing in yourself, continuing to trust in yourself, always taking advantage of opportunity that comes to you. I am telling you from testimony of my very own life, this is not the end of the road. Do not be despondent. I'm not saying you're not going to feel disappointed. And because they might have dreamed in that uniform. They might have dreamt, I was in that uniform. And the thing is, you have to understand purpose. Sometimes it just isn't your purpose. That just isn't your story. I often wondered for myself, man, had I passed for my first choice that I wanted to pass for, had I passed my CXC in flying colors, would I have found the determination, the grit that I had to find to perceive to become who I am today? This is in no way, I'm speaking to those young persons who didn't hit their mark at this occasion in their life. This is in no way a declaration that you are a failure. And I want parents to affirm that in their children. You are the ones to help them. You are the ones to encourage them. Now is not the time to point the finger at mommy. If you're to put him in that lessons and daddy, I tell you to go and do this study and I tell him he needed this book and he didn't buy it and it's your fault. This is not the time for that. This is the time to come together, support the child, encourage the child, let the child know that you are proud of them. If you are only proud that they made it this far, let them know that you're proud. Even though they missed the mark or didn't get the first choice, that doesn't mean that your children are dunce. It doesn't mean that your children are foolish. And something I've seen, Max, some children learn different ways and at different times, you know.
Of course.
I have seen so many children go to these secondary schools and government schools that we always deem as lower level academic and do better than their peers that went to the prestige school by the time they reach the CXC, you know.
Yes, of course. I know of a lot of them.
Exactly. So I think we need to keep encouraging I see the rain is cooling down now, thank God. I think that we need to keep encouraging our young people so much that if I was a prime minister, I would have get on a television screen and say that to them today.
Yes.
Because I can tell you the amount of heartbroken children today because they didn't make a school for whatever reason. Sometimes, as the past gentleman said, they've been good all their academic life, even in school, and anxiety take control of them on that one day. And that one day they made some horrendous mistakes. And maybe we need to look at that. Maybe we need to look at continuous academic performance when we look at these things as well. When we place in, maybe we need to lift the standards of the schools that we consider to be the schools we don't want to go to.
Yes.
Look at the things and the reasonings as into why people don't want to send their children to these schools, and lift it, emulate those particularly. Is it a structure that functions in that school? Is it a behavioral pattern that takes place from the staff in that school that gets children to perform better? Why do you think it should be kept a secret? Is it that we're saying that possibly some of the, and we see it, we have to acknowledge it, some of the state-based schools seem to perform better, seem to have a higher level of discipline? And if that is the case, why aren't we going to some of these organizations and emulating them from a governmental standpoint to have that same level of education, that same level of socialization in the schools, so that these schools lift themselves as well? Better level of behavior, better level of conduct, a better level, and you will see a better performance in the whole.
Exactly.
So education to me, as you could tell, is something, and that's why I said it was important to me for us to have this discussion, talking about the SCA. I know there are some children about to get the CXC soon. I think it's CSEC they call it now. You know, I know in terms of the new name.
Yes.
And I just want to keep encouraging them. I know we have those dads and their daughters supposed to join us soon. I'm hoping. I'm not sure if they're on as yet. I can't come off to call them. Huh?
They're not there yet.
You're right. So they're not here as yet, but I would most definitely want to keep admonishing parents to keep parenting, take out the child tonight. Let them know, I am proud that you've reached this stage in your life. You could not have gone to the graduation with the child before the exam release. Being so happy, took those pictures, smiled so much. Look at him throw the hat in the air. Look at her throw the hat in the air. And then now make that child feel disappointed in their performance. They've reached another phase in their life. They've been able to weather whatever storms, whatever peer pressures that they may have in school, whatever psychological pressures they have when it comes to weathering an exam. And you have to let them know, come to a conclusion with them. How do you feel about what you did? Do you want to proceed in this instance? Do you want us to see if we could secure a transfer for you? Do you want us to engage in private schooling? Do you want to go back and reset? So, and these are discussions that will be healthy to have, because now you're showing the child that there is option.
Yes.
It's not the end. You didn't do something that's so horrendous and you brought shame and failure on our family, and we are disgraced and we will never be the same again. No, you must keep that child up and at a high performance level. And I want to again reach out to the education system for us to start culturing, for us to start sensitizing, resensitizing rather, what education is. And I guarantee you, we are going to pull out some of the most productive people in our society, Mark. Because I think half of the reasons that many are challenged, I work in the schools, and a lot of those secondary schools where they deem them badly behaved, and the troublemakers and these kind of things. And most times those children are children that are gifts that are undiscovered 90% of the time. And it takes sometimes a coach to see what, hey boy, that is a sprinter, that is an athlete. It takes a a dramatist or a comedian who
Mhm.
has walked their road to say, wow, that child is definitely going to be a comedic genius, or
Mhm.
that child is definitely going to be the next live DJ on radio, on television. This
Mhm.
child is going to be a TV broadcaster at
Mhm.
some point in time. Because sometimes even the things, and that's it, children are never, most children are never incapable of learning. So it's not because you've passed for a school that is in your first choice or you're deemed not to be a good school that it means you are incapable of learning.
Mhm.
I have my law degree now, and the number of people I know that have the degrees, it's persons who, when you find out the school they went to, they didn't went to the top-notch school,
That's
and they
right.
have the same level of tertiary level education as the person who started off there.
Yeah.
One person in life starts here,
Mhm.
others start at different locations, and
Mhm.
sometimes the one that starts last to the end of the race.
Yeah.
And these are the messages we need to put out, particularly at times when we have these national exams. Because today, for sure, we know we're going to have a lot of celebration. We know we're going to have a lot of joy in certain homes. And we really know we're going to have some people feeling sad, some
Mhm.
people feeling disappointed, some people feeling like underachievers.
Mhm.
And my real concern is, should I have or make a young girl or boy who is brutally talented in art, brutally talented possibly in woodwork,
Mhm.
brutally talented in some other area, but because they did not excel in the area that are the weakest, make them feel like they are a total failure.
Mhm.
And that's something I think that we need to really, as parents, really consider. Those whose children have done and performed and gotten where they need to get for now,
Yeah.
remember what I said. You need to add or continue at that level. You still need to also, David,
Mhm.
assess if that's where the child wants to go,
Of course. Of course.
Because sometimes they pass with the first choice because you drill them.
Yeah.
But really they love culinary. I can tell about myself, when I was in secondary school, I love home ec. I love culinary. But I
Mhm.
know I couldn't tell my mother that. So I left my belly long time. And if
Yeah.
you look in the world, some of the greatest chefs are men.
Of course it is. Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it from when we had it from one, from two, from three. And had it been a choice of mine at the point,
Mhm.
I would have chosen to do that.
Yes.
So, I mean, if I wasn't given the opportunity to be exposed to it, I went to St. George's College, right? My first choice at the time was presentation. I didn't even know St. George's was a choice of mine. That's
Yeah.
one of the later choices my mother had put.
Mhm.
I have never heard of St. George's College. I know now St. George's College has really lifted its level. People
Yes.
are fighting to get to St. George's College now.
Yeah.
You understand? It's not that St. George's College was a dodgy school in my days, but
Mhm.
it just I have never heard of the school. So to me, I felt like I failed. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So, however, the things I learned there and the skills I developed there and the fact that it was a co-educational school,
Mhm.
that was so beneficial to me because
Yeah.
it created for me to have the experience, that social experience of socialize with young women, understand how young women relate to you, you relate to them. And I think learning became a more enjoyable space for me.
Mhm.
So I as I say again, sometimes you don't get what you want, but you get what you need. I would
Ex-
always say I would never go to any other secondary school.
mhm.
I would never change it now.
Yeah. Yeah. I too been through when I look back, when I left school and I went to my dad, I got my subjects. I went to my dad. My dad worked at the airport in a nice office and thing. He was into accounts and thing. And he said, okay, so what do you want to do now?
Yeah.
I told him, man, I want to be a DJ. Rondell, the only thing he did do was call the police to take me out of his office. He said, what? I said, I want to be a DJ. I said, let me explain. I wanted to tell him that I really wanted to get into radio and stuff. He didn't want
Yeah.
to hear that. he ran me, and I went home, and I was feeling real sad he didn't listen to me. But then I started to work in the oil industry. I worked in the refinery. I became a refinery operator. I worked at the laboratory. I became a
All
lab
right.
technician. I worked as a gauger, and so on and so on and so on. And I got into the DJ thing, you know,
Well, I see
and
that.
I became very, very popular as a DJ until he now used to come to my place, and dig into all the goodies that I had made from being DJ. People would have liked me so much. People who
Yeah,
had
yeah, the big stuff there.
so I had a whole set of stuff home, eats and drinks and all of that. He used to come and just take up what he wants and say, "I'm your father." you know. And eventually they back in those days, they'll put your picture on posters on all the
Right,
walls.
right, right.
So I used to be traversing east, west, north, and south as a DJ. See, I see a picture on a wall there, boy. You're a big boy. He start telling people, "No, that's my son."
Ah, no, I'm gonna say that. Know that part coming.
Yeah. He said, "You see that picture? That's my son." you know.
Yeah,
And then I morphed into the media. When 98.9, the first urban station, came on stream, I got into it.
right,
And
right.
there's no selfie like himself. Imagine that. The man always called the police on me, almost cut my tail for telling him what I wanted to be. Now, I've gone through refinery, I've gone through the oil industry per se, and ended up in the media. So I am very thankful that I can talk about that now, and in relation to encouraging exactly what you say. Sometimes you're
Correct.
talented in a field where it works for you. Yes, because I was very good as a refinery operator. I used to run that little refinery in Brighton by myself, on shift by myself. Even at the
Right.
laboratory, I worked by myself. As a gauger too, I worked by myself. I
Mhm.
ended up as the oil stocks clerk between I said a big man. So this big man used to be fuming. Well, I bring this little boy here and this little boy, this and that. But that was not my liking.
Correct.
I
Correct.
always
Correct.
wanted to be in the media, on a radio station, I ended up there, and I
Correct.
look back now and I say, wow. So when I chat with young fellas and things, young ladies too, if I get the opportunity, but I focus more on young males, and I will tell them those stories, and I will tell them, you can tell me, you can talk to me and tell me what you like, what you really like, and I try my best to do that, because I know, like you said, how it can morph in into different avenues and media. So so when I got there, so much things I can say about that. Even in the media, I used to say, "Wow, okay, so you got here." I used to see other styles of media. Like
Right. 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 Right.
Savannah and big shows. I think I used to say, "No, I want to do that," and I ended up doing that. you
Right.
know,
Right.
so so
So what
so
you're
it's
saying, Mark, that even when you got in the media,
yeah,
where you might have just interpreted media to just say, or your initial desire was, hey, I
yeah,
just want to be on the radio.
yeah.
Getting into radio, you realize radio was bigger than just being on the radio.
Yes, a lot of the sphere was wider than I thought, and I used to enjoy it. And I mean, it's a blessing. I
Yeah.
never had an ego about it, because it still fascinates me, like how my friend called and said all of that there. I say, oh boy, but I look at it as achieving um goals within that sphere that really belongs to you you know
Correct.
so I encourage youth to just try their best at whatever they think is going to work for them. I will try my best to encourage them, and I think, as this is the Fathers Association, I mean, fathers have to play a more critical role in chatting, because mommy is like the hard worker. Mommy is preparing meals, mommy is getting their clothes, their laundry, everything in order, making sure they go to school. Mommy plays that big role.
Correct.
But
Correct.
daddy, I think, is like the politician in the family, is like
Yeah.
the headmaster, really, that you have to now sit and talk with the children. I think that's the father figure role. You
And,
know,
and sometimes that is the mediator too, eh?
That's
Because
right.
you know when mommy want performance sometimes,
Yeah.
especially you
Yeah.
want to go somewhere and you say you come as an advocate before daddy.
Yeah.
Daddy but XYZ, and then mommy on the next side, but he ain't do XYZ, and then daddy on the next side. Then child on the next side again, daddy XYZ. So
Yes.
sometimes daddy is the mediator in the center. He's the one to say, let me balance it. Let
Yes.
me you want to go one direction, the next one want to go that direction. So
Yeah.
that's why I say at this point in time, parents need to be happy no
Yeah.
matter what the outcome. That
That's
is
right.
like the thing is your child has passed over to a new stage of life. Your
Mm.
child is now most times heading into the teenage style, this teenage part of their life, adolescence. Be excited about that. You're going to get a whole different realm of behavior. Trust
Mhm.
and believe. They no
Yeah.
longer want to be the little baby again.
Mm.
Especially with boys, they already start to assert that level of independence, so to speak. I say independence because they're still very dependent on you.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
their mind starts working in a way where they want to see as much as they could do for themselves. You
That's
understand? And you're gonna have a lot greater things to navigate more so than to contemplate heavily
mhm.
only on first choice, second choice, third choice. But do you think, Matt, the fact that we've put this level of prestige on one area, do
Mhm.
you think that is something that is counterproductive, or do you think it is good in a sense that we give children something to aspire to, or should everybody should just be on a same level in your determination? I know everybody can have different views on this.
All right. Let's just stick up in. Good afternoon, caller.
Kola? Yeah.
Hi,
Good,
good afternoon, gentlemen.
good afternoon.
Firstly, I want to say great job and commend you guys on this initiative
Thank
that you
you.
have embarked upon. I can definitely say today for the SCA students that you should feel accomplished, because I can tell you, because I can remember from my own experience how traumatic it was, because my last name would have started with W and
Hmm.
it got lost in the paper. So when I did not hear my name called, I can tell you that I was in tears, only to find out that it was on the other side of the paper.
Hmm.
But I want to let these children know that this is the beginning of the journey. Trust
Hmm.
me, I can tell you I was a bookworm, and I know plenty of children were brought up in that era or in that environment where they think that, academics is the highlight of it. But I can tell you, as life progresses, one doesn't know where they will eventually end up, where their talents will lead them to. And
True.
Rondell, I can probably agree with you that your handwriting probably did let you get low marks. But
You went to school with me now? Yes. I know you went to school with
um,
me.
again, guys, great job. And again, to the SDA students, I want you to know this is only the beginning of the great thing that lies ahead in your future.
Yes.
Thank you again, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Yes, and I know that voice very well. That is Miss Will. She did go to school with me. She went to St. George's College also and
Yeah.
sat right next to me. I was put there to make sure she did what she was supposed to do in school. All
Yeah.
right. Honestly, I was placed there to make sure that she guided me into a better path. So,
Right. Yes.
so I must say thank you to you and the teacher as well for looking out for me at that point in time in my life. And that is so important.
Yes, it
It's
is.
so important, as I said, you're gonna have guys, because I was kind of like the class clown, myself and a partner of mine called Anton Telesford. We
Yeah.
were kind of the class clowns and the ones that people perceive may not have done well.
Mhm.
I mean, I am certain my principal, she saw me sometime and she said, if it's one thing you always spoke to defend yourself. So I'm not totally surprised.
Yeah.
But I mean, children are immature, and I was immature at that point in time as well.
Yes.
But if I am to say as well, talking about that, the same teacher that put me next to the young lady who just called there as well, Miss Wills,
Yeah.
um, Miss Santana, she saw something in me I didn't see in myself
Right.
at all. I didn't see it at all, and that lady stuck by my side. Because I used to fight, I used to get suspended. I get suspended until they give me an indefinite suspension. Don't come back to school, just write exams. And the manner in which that teacher, she would quarrel with my own mother as well sometimes, where she find my mother not defending me at some point. And I always remember why she told me, and it was coming on to CXC, why she, when she told me why she took that interest in me. And she told me, and even my other friend Anton as well, she told me, she said, she said Ronnie, because nobody called me Rondell. Only when I come on TV, people start calling me by my real name.
Yeah.
She said, Ronnie, I had a hard pregnancy. And she said the jokes that you and Anton used to make used to sometimes make my day a brighter day.
Right.
And to me, I felt when I heard that I had actually accomplished something. I had some purpose. Normally out there, the negative, boy, why you so, why you like to get trouble? You wouldn't be here to sell. So much until the condemnations started to sound like commendation to me, you know. I started to like it.
Yeah.
And that is something we need to look at.
Yes.
I started to like the fact that people thought, well, hey, this man is a fighter, hey, this man does get trouble, hey, this man does. It started because it was the only thing you heard.
Yeah.
But when she changed the narrative and she truly gave me a commendation, it was as if I understood now what it felt to feel valuable, what it felt to be commended. Like, hey, me just beat myself, making all them stupid jokes. When she tell me to take the chair and go and make a lap around, she used to make us take the chair and make a lap around the quadrangle.
Yeah.
Really did help somebody else.
Right.
So that is why you see I take that specific interest in a lot of the children out there
Yeah.
in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want you to ever think that you are failures. I don't want some missing the mark. That's why I keep calling it missing the mark and not calling you a failure. You are sometimes placed in a space for a purpose. And that is critical. That is important for you to understand and believe so that you have or you at least value yourself enough to continue to work hard to get the best out of yourself.
There's a rainbow goddess with some comments here.
Right.
Spoke about the education system. It's a talk since the 50s, so it needs to be addressed now. The problem with us Caribbean people, we don't listen to qualified teachers. She wants to know what degree in law you have. I think we can skip that one. She spoke about you're going to culinary school and moving on to law. And she's saying that the school I work in is where Judges Lodge used to be. She actually won a job there. And, she's also saying hello to her Trini fans. And Marlon Anderson is saying good evening. So all these people are logged on and listening.
Nice.
Continue to send your comments. I'll read them.
Yeah, man. Continue to send your comments, continue to make your calls. I always say, share these videos, even afterwards, share these videos. This is such important information. These are discussions that need to be heard. And I mean, as I said, on our end, Mark, we are going to make a committed effort to push this more to make sure we get people here every Friday so that we could speak to these issues. We could speak to their individual issues because so many people, when it comes going on now to the issues of parenting and single fatherhood and just fatherhood and co-parenting, that we have a challenge. And I think I sent you some text messages as well of some posts that some guys sent us this morning. I don't know if you have it in front of you, if you could read it. I don't have it here.
Yes, I have them with me. One is saying, good afternoon, gentlemen, and may God bless those of us who have children writing SCA today. May God guide them to do their best. I'm heartbroken right now. Can't even go by my child's school. I prayed for God to keep her strong. So that is one that really touched me. And it continues, imagine my child making a giant step forward academically and can't even hug her to encourage her to strive for excellence. And the other one says, imagine my child making, feel your pain, brother. This is in response. I feel your pain. I feel this morning knowing my child is the same thing. So there are people out there who are in a disadvantaged position. Disadvantaged so much that they don't have the opportunity to share this special moment, like the lady said. This is the starting point. It really is. This
Correct.
year is a starting point for these young children, and
Correct.
it's difficult for some people, no matter what um, feud or no matter what ever caused the separation of the parents. I think it is very, very imperative that each parent have access to this child. You know,
Correctly so.
it
Correctly
can't
so.
work. It don't work. It works. Some people they put everything into it. Some people they say, like some women will say, I don't want you coming around with child, and they single it out as though they alone made this child, and leave the father out. But men, for the past week, I don't know. Sometimes I tell people I'm blessed in the broadcasting thing because programs will be coming up, and prior to the programs, instances and situations will develop that I can link to the program. I
Wow.
saw where uh, some guys were saying that they don't have any access to the children at all.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, and because of legal methods and all of that, and it
Correct.
makes me to know that sometimes the women don't want the men to come around the child. You
Correct.
know, so imagine. Put yourself in the child's position. Just try to imagine you in that situation. You're looking at mommy here and daddy there, and daddy can't come by me, and this kind of thing, and mommy will not allow it. So I think all of that lead
So
to
so sad.
what we are seeing now playing out in the public, that all people are pointing finger towards that negativity, the crime, the violence, the disrespect to women and all of that.
Correct.
So we have to start thinking, let's see if we can try to fix this thing, and your little input could, when I read those text messages when you sent it to me, I said, my God, imagine this guy wanting,
Correct.
he can't even go by the school, man.
And go by the school. And the thing is, that jogs my thoughts back to a seminar we had yesterday. I know there was a very big seminar that I was a part of yesterday that was held actually by the Seventh-day Adventist Pastor Clive Dutton and their webinar
Yeah.
on parenting in the Caribbean. And that's one of the things I talked about. I talked about father absentism. And
Mhm.
we view father absentism only from the perspective of a father that had left, or a
Mhm.
father that has abandoned, a father that has neglected. Not
Mhm.
seeing that father absentism is a lot broader than that. There's the instance also when the father may have died and he's no longer there.
Yeah.
But then there is the instance that is just as bad as the father abandoning, which is the father suffering from parental alienation.
Yes.
And as you rightfully said, you would expect that we should have a state that does not allow this by the laws that legislated on the land, that
Mhm.
equal rights should be afforded to parents so that they could parent and spend time with their children. And the
Yeah.
law does say already in the Child's Act that the child has the right to have access to both parents. So it sometimes worries me that that side of father absentism isn't spoken about, sorry.
Mhm.
Consider what the gentleman is saying.
Mhm.
So he is absent in his child's life, but not at his fault, not for his reasoning, not for his fault, sorry.
Yeah.
He is absent because he's forbidden. Whether
Mhm.
it's parental alienation, whether it's the child lives with the mother in an undisclosed location to him, whether it's a protection order that the mother took out of him with the strategy, which is now a strategy.
Mhm.
Sometimes no protection order from the child, but from her, because it's a matter that's about to go to court, and that is the easiest way, even in ex parte, to have somebody not have contact with their child at all,
Mhm.
because the court trying to be protective will say, hey, even before, and when I say ex parte, just for better understanding, it means nobody, man was not brought there to defend himself as yet. But in a precautionary method, they decide to stop all access from the child, stop all access or contact from possibly the home without even saying, hey, you know what they said about me is not true. So I have seen and continue to see men experience this type of parental alienation. Men by far, if I mean, I haven't gotten the statistic on that. You know, I always love statistics. I continue to beg them to gather statistics on certain things. But I am certain when I do get the statistic locally on parental alienation, I am very confident it will be in the 90th percentile that men are the greatest victims of parental alienation. And look at the instance like this. An instance where the child, whether the child does exceptionally well and wants to see mommy and daddy there to celebrate that with them, or the child misses the mark and needs the comfort of mommy and daddy. And I made a point yesterday that I want to make again today, that we don't understand when it comes to this thing called single parenting. And I want single parents to listen to this. I want also persons who work with single parents to listen to this so they understand the direction they need to take when assisting single parents. But I want also, as I said before, single parents themselves to listen to this. Have we or do we ever consider how single parent families are formed? Single parent families are most times, or all times rather, formed by trauma. Trauma, if it is at the hands of loss, meaning daddy died, mommy died. Trauma, if it has the hands of divorce and separation, meaning mommy and daddy separated from each other. Single families, single parent families are formed by trauma. So you need to first understand, if you have a single parent home, something negative happened that caused you to have the family structure that you have right now. And if you acknowledge that and you introspect, you may be able to treat with that trauma. Your trauma may be your husband or your wife may have cheated on you and caused a separation. So now you possibly have the custodial care of the child. You have to parent the child with having that custodial care and control over the child while you are treating with the trauma of just being cheated on. How are you going to treat with that? Am I now going to say, hey, you cheated on me? You will have no access to your daughter. I is the father. Let me say the father has the child. Or the vice versa, which we see more often, the mother situation. You did this in our relationship. You hurt me, so that means you didn't love the child because you hurt me. No access to the child for you. And we start sometimes parenting from a position of pain, a position of retribution, a position of anger, a position of unforgiveness. And it just makes the situation worse. So I seriously want parents to consider that. Parents, if you have had your child set SEA and you know you can make contact with the other parent, whether you all have an acrimonious relationship or not, sometimes you don't know. You might go to your daughter or your son and say, son, you know, if I call your father, he might carry out for some ice cream. You feel I will make you feel better, despite all the negative you might have said. I know in some cases you might have said so much negative, it's a hard thing for you to go back now to tell the child, well, hey, let me do X, Y, Z. You may be surprised the child being able to accomplish something else, meaning forging a relationship with that other parent that has been alienated, or that other parent who was abandoned previously and now have decided to come back, may bring some joy in their life. That person may have a nugget of knowledge to give to them too. So I just think that was real important for us to bring up. I didn't see dads come on yet, but I mean the conversation continued to go. One of them just called me, he said, give him a little while, he'll come on. Just wanted to talk to a child before the show is over at 6. See how they feel, see if they enjoy the experience, how was the experience for them and these things.
Yeah, Marlon is saying, as a father, I found my way in PTA and all activities till I am the president of the PTA in my child's school.
Very good. Very, very, very good. And that is the type of leadership we need to see even from fathers.
Yeah.
Get yourself involved in those things. Get yourself involved in the PTA. Get yourself involved in the academic things. Even if, and many fathers I think don't understand that. Even if you have a order that says that you can only see your child every other weekend, that does not forbid you from being actively involved in the academic progress of the child's life.
That's right. That's right.
Go to the school if you have to. When you go to the school, meet the teachers, tell them, give them your email. That is your right. You have the parental right of the access and to get information about your child's education. Sometimes some schools will misinform you. The only time you cannot go to the school get information is if there's some order made that tells you can't. But other than that, if you have an access order to your child, or if there's no order at all, which makes it even better for you can proceed to the school, request, this is my email, I want to be here for every PTA. I want to be here for every planning event for the child. So you don't rely to be invited by the other party. And this information I'm giving is for mothers who don't have custody too. They are in a smaller number than fathers that don't have custody, but there are mothers who don't have custody too. So when I give advice, I give them straight across the board. It's no bias with me.
Right.
So long and short of the story, there are things that you can do to still ensure that you're involved in the academic lives of your children, even though you may have a court order that says every other weekend or you have access on weekends alone, with orders that I believe are sometimes not the best when it comes to the true upbringing of a child. You want the child to be able to have that academic experience by daddy too, even if daddy may not be the academic genius. In some cases, daddy is the greater academic genius than mommy. Yeah? But even in the cases where he may not be, the opportunity that daddy could drop you to school, pick you up, you might have some extracurricular activity in school that he's a part of. He could get opportunity to attend it. So on one week, you might have seen mommy doing it. So mommy's there with you. If you're playing pan after school, you're doing gymnastics, you're doing swimming, you're doing football, you're doing cricket. Daddy is there the next week. He coming to pick you up when you're doing the same extracurriculars. He has the opportunity to have a vested part of when it's for Parents Day. When he goes into Parents Day, he ain't lost and Google-eyed because he don't know nothing that's going on in his child life.
Yeah.
He's just as involved and invested as the mother, so that he could make contribution in areas where it may actually be beneficial to the child's life.
Yes.
So
yes.
these are some of the tips. I mean, I am putting out there for parents. Your child might have gone past, let's say, a new journey into the secondary school realm. Make yourself present. Make yourself involved as you can. A lot of the PTA meetings now sometimes are online. A lot of the PTA meetings are, you put on your camera and you see it. Make your presence felt. There are a lot of ways that you can get yourself and you can be involved. So I say that for some of the fathers who possibly, because sometimes it's ignorance, sometimes a father not going because he tell himself, well, if he not with the woman, he can't have access to the children. So you might think that you couldn't go today and say X, Y, Z. Or you may not have gone just not to cause an altercation.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even if you had gone by the school, just to hear the results called, just to hear it, and there's nothing barring you from going to the school. You could do these things. You could access these things. You could, I think it doesn't be called anymore. It's home online.
Right.
But this, and as it is online now, I think it is very important and instrumental for us. And I think this part of it is our part of it when it comes to lobbyists, that we ensure that even in situations where there are separations, where it's mother and the father, that the results sent to both parties.
Yeah.
So that daddy could open it and see it too.
Yeah. Fathers too have to move away from the concept that they are not, savvy, with these devices and what's happening now in the technological world, and that they are not brilliant academically. Sometimes because of the peers, they shy away from that kind of representation for the child. I'm seeing a comment here saying, good evening. When a teacher sees a father is active in the child's life, the child is treated differently in a positive way. That is, that is so true, because there are some
I
guys,
agree with that.
there are some guys out there who feel okay, they hanging out on the block, and they will say, well, come to a PTA meeting, and they go there and they see people behaving in a different kind of, they were brought up in a different way, so they find, well, I belong here, I think I able with this, and they kind of back out. I think you should
Correct.
stand firmly there as the father. Forget the academia, forget the intellectualism, forget all of that. Because some of these guys are fantastic sports personalities and such. So you just go there and be there for the child.
Correct.
There-
I agree.
there's another
And I mean,
message.
as we say, Marlon, his testament, I mean, the kind of way he said he involved himself in the PTA and
Yeah,
he moved up now to the PTA president.
that's right. That's
You
right.
understand? So, I
Yeah,
mean, if that is no example, if that's not an example, I don't know what is. So it means that even in these spaces, that
Mhm,
men and fathers
mhm.
can get into these spaces, can get themselves involved. And sometimes some of these schools need to see that representation of fatherhood. Some of
Yes.
these boys need to see that.
Hmm.
And I think it is critical and important for us as a society to
Yeah.
realize, particularly in these kind of events, and then that to me that is something that should be enshrined in education involvement of both parents
Mm.
in the child's life. I could understand, as I say, some parents that are, and it is even for parents who are in nuclear families,
Yeah.
where one is the breadwinner, whether it's the mother or the father, because now you have mothers with more than fathers in some instances.
Yeah. That
Where
that 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 impacts what you're saying there impacts a lot too on some men.
correct,
Some men feel, well, the woman is working for more than them, so that they feel like if they are lesser, and that
correct,
I don't think that has any. Father is father, you know,
correct,
full stop.
correct. And I think, I mean, it's all cultural. It's all cultural of what you expect, what you're accustomed seeing. And this is now a new phenomenon. Whereas
Mhm.
you say, mommy might be the bigger breadwinner, mommy might be the one who working the longer hours, and daddy may be the one who doing these things, the academic things, doing the picking up from the school because his job allows him to do that, he earns less. But
Yeah,
once the family remains the level of respect for each other,
that's
and,
right.
and there's a particular design, the way they've designed things that works best for them.
Yeah,
I don't think they should have a problem. If mommy understands, yes, mommy may be earning more. And interestingly, I was in a discussion like that where men were saying, well, you have an instance where mommy earning more and mommy now has lost respect for daddy on the vice versa. So
yeah.
let's say that isn't threatened, but mommy now had lost respect because I am the bigger breadwinner. But in
Hmm.
the instance of that, I
Hmm.
mean, I think mummies and daddies offer more than just the money they bring.
That's right.
Because to me, even if a man earns less, if a man is running the house, he still has to protect everybody
That's right.
automatically. And I think the greatest honor you could have as a family is to have honor for the person who is set to lay their life down to protect us.
Hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
Whoever that person is at that point in time, 99% of the time, if it is in a nuclear family relationship, it
Hmm.
is the man, the father, that
Yeah.
is going to stand up, whether he is unemployed
Yeah.
or whether his employment doesn't come to question at that point.
Hmm.
He
Even
could be unemployed or not.
yes, he could be
If a
unemployed.
invasion takes place,
Hmm.
that man is the one 99% of the time is about to lay his life to protect those who are weaker than he is.
That's
And
right.
if that doesn't earn respect, then
Hmm.
nothing can. If money to you and the money that you earn, you believe demands more respect than somebody willing to die for
Hmm.
who they love,
Yeah.
then you don't have a proper understanding of
Eh,
what matters.
You have some significant messages here. Too many dysfunctional homes will create a dysfunctional system. It will explain the high crime rates and violence in the region. Now, I wanted to link that all the way because what we are talking about, if we as men would play our role as fathers and ensure that kind of protection, I guarantee that I have your back, you know, and I'm supportive and all of that. I think we can have a big takeaway with the violence and the crime that is plaguing us now, and we should, our endeavors should be towards that, I think, first and foremost, and it will lead to children with a more comfortable mind to absorb the academics and all of that. Because
Correct.
children seeing that dysfunctional behavior with their parents. I think parents too should try to keep that away from their children. You know, if you have an argument, try for it not to be in front of the children. You know, try and work it out somehow, and children will be of the belief that mommy and daddy good. You know, you must try not to show them that, even though that is happening. I think once we're
Correct.
exposed to the children, we should lead by example. That, you know, violent and ignorance in that sense, violent ignorance, because ignorance could mean you don't know, you know. So I think that is so important, Rondell,
Yeah.
for most parents, because children develop that instantly. They will go to school and, you know, uh, different of opinions can only be trashed out with violence. You know, hit this one and hit that one, and you know, create more problems within the society. So I believe that parents should try to make some kind of different ways of, or adapt to different ways of dealing with this, you know, this,
Yeah.
you know, difference in opinions. That's what I want to say.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And just adding to some things that parents need to learn, because I think that's exactly where you're alluding to, that we, even parents, need to learn and adjust, especially in an age like this. Not
Yes.
saying that everything traditional is bad. I hold on to a lot of traditional things.
Me
But
too.
we have to also keep the ball rolling as well and make traditions of our own. And
Yeah.
I think one of the traditions that we have to create is that at times we, I don't know, even when to apologize to our children too.
Yes.
So we had a big fight, we had a big squabble. Um, they heard things they may not have heard, they shouldn't have heard.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to go and say, hey, this is not the way we should have behaved. That is not the way a man should behave. A man
Yeah.
shouldn't behave like that. And sometimes mommy needs to come and say, hey, boys or girls, I had to apologize to you all, because this is not the way a woman is supposed to behave. This is not the way a wife is supposed to behave. This is not the way a mother is supposed to behave. I'm
Exactly.
human too and make mistakes. And I mean, I had to show a level of respect for you. And by apologizing to them, you're teaching them at that point in time. You know,
Exactly.
you're showing them that they matter as well there. That you realize that you offended them.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're man enough or woman enough to
Hmm.
say, I'm sorry, to hold myself accountable and say, I am sorry for what I've done.
Yeah.
You understand? I've
Mhm.
apologized to my boys many times for some things when I was really out of line in the way. Sometimes I discipline them, or sometimes in my own behavior, in
Mm.
some way where I think, hey, that is not what you want them to do.
That's
So
right.
even if I have to go to them individually,
Yeah.
or I come to them while they're together, the two of them. So
Hmm.
daddy, sorry for that boy. This is not how you should do. That is not how you should move. That is not, and that speaks volumes to children, because you're now doing what you want them to do, opposed to telling them to do something. You
Yeah.
understand? And then you ain't doing it.
That's right. It shapes their method of analyzing situations, and method of working out situations. You know, they
Correct.
will know it isn't something that should end up in violence. You know,
Correct. Correct.
that
Correct.
spoils their future endeavors in every aspect across the board. The moment you look at things from a violent point of view or from a super argumentative point of view, there must be areas when you can say, okay, I think I am wrong here, or I think you should listen because I know I am right. You know,
Correct.
so because I think that is what is leading to the situations that we see in schools with children fighting. You know, sometimes you wonder, how could this happen? You know, you said
Correct.
don't throw away traditions. Back in the days, we had little fights in school, but it wasn't to the extent of what we're seeing now.
Correct. 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 I
Yeah,
mean, um, and you see that speaks to social education what we're talking about there.
that's right.
And I
That's
don't
right.
I don't think we do that, at all. And I think that's so important. I mean, yes, we entrusted to home for it to
Mm,
happen at home. But I
yeah.
think we really have to have a feel safe if it's not happening in home. If the
Mm,
children, it's not like a long time where children are that as exposed to church, where
mm,
you used to have like a social discussions and social social behavior and how we should treat, how we should parents should relate to children and how you understand. I mean, the only social thing I does have been spoken is about gender. But when
Yeah.
I'm talking about like how we should relate social and these kind of things, I think that is a form of education as well.
Of course.
So we look at the perspective of academics, we look at the perspective of vocation, but we also look at the perspective of society, socially, how a young man must treat a young girl, how a young girl must treat a young man too. We only like to talk about one side.
Yes.
How a young man must command the way he wants to be treated. How a young one must command the same as well. You're not saying to be demanding anything from anybody, but you as a person must have your own boundaries. There's no silly that everybody boundaries may be set at different levels. It may be subjective, but if you want something, you want to be a particular type of husband, you want to aspire to a particular type of husband, then you have to look for a wife with similar aspirations as you. And same thing with a woman. You aspire to be a particular type of wife, a particular type of mother, then you look for a husband with similar types of aspirations to you. And I think it's because we don't have those social discussions that our children don't have an idea how to make decisions, like social decisions at all, to say how to relate with a young woman, how to relate with a young man, how to assess things well. It's always a trial and error. Even we had to learn by trial and error too. A few things were spoken to us based on the traditions their parents would tell you, the cliches they had, the friends would take you and they would bring you back, and these kind of things. But to say there was a real sitting down, especially in a time like this, as I said, where whether we admit it or not, the spiritual, and I do agree with it because I'm a very spiritual person, is on a decline. You have to have some level of people socially and morally instilling and educating the next generation in some form of fashion.
I quite agree. Something that I think I had a program one time with the Scouts Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and I remember back in the days, like you said, I always talk about throwing away traditions also. These disciplinary entities as youths played vital roles, the Cub Scout, the Girl Guides, the Brownies, the Sea Scout, the Boys Brigade, the cadets, and there are some places that still keep them alive. But back in the days, it was like in every community. The moment you reach that you're introduced to being a Cub Scout, and those people who took the helm of these disciplinary entities as children, they were masters at their work because you couldn't behave badly in the public if you're a Cub Scout, and this thing. So I think I'm not saying that it should be brought back, and I'm saying that it should be brought back. So I'm 50% of it, because there are other ways now, via social media and all that kind of thing. But I was very happy when I met the Cub Scouts on the streets in San Fernando, and I saw them in the nice yellow shirts and things, and they solicited little funds and things from people. So I went up to them and said, "Who's the leader here? Let me talk to the leader." They didn't know who I was, and I don't go about with no big banner on my back to say I am this and that. So I spoke to the leader. I said, "Well, I do this and stuff, and I'd like to have a conversation about scouting and things, because I think it's important if we have to fight back the violent atmosphere and the behavioral patterns of these young people now." And they came on, and we had a nice conversation. I had them here for the entire 2 hours, and they spoke what they intend to do and how they're doing it and stuff. And I promised them that I will continue liaising with them. So sometime, seeing that the August vacation is here, I'm going to pull up and call them and let's have a discussion as to what they're doing now.
Very.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, all that ties in to the development of boys' minds and girls' minds. Like you said.
If we are honest, I mean, I listen to all it as if you hashback those memories with sculpting and tying reef knot and all these things.
Yes.
You would be surprised that and I've seen it for myself, even with my boys, we, the parents of this generation, we have a lot to blame ourselves on. It is because we were given that drive into success and that drive to be workhorses and that drive, and not even drive to real success, drive to be workers. That is what the drive for. So
Yeah.
because you have been driven to be a worker, you've been working your whole life, you have no time to do anything else.
Yeah.
And many of us, honestly, have been happy that we've had those devices to shove in those children's faces. We
Yeah.
shove it in their faces from the time they're 6 months old, so
Yeah.
that we are able to do our work.
Yes.
But really and truly, even children, and I tell you, I've seen it myself, even with my younger boys, but my boys who are adolescents now. If you give children the experiences that some of us have, even children of this generation today,
Yeah.
they enjoy it.
Of course. You see
They
it.
enjoy it. I remember there was an event that we used to have when we was younger, as young boys and girls in the churches. We call us social, where you would go and you would meet and play games like dog and bone, who sell loads,
Yeah.
all these games, these clapping games and these games that was just real fun.
Yeah.
And a group of us came together who were past, they were now parents and who were going to the churches who used to do these things when we were children. And we had that for a night. We were able to take a night to do that. And that was the most fun our children ever had.
I tell you.
You understand?
I know.
So we are so much to blame for not giving them the experiences we have climbing the cherry tree, climbing the plum tree,
Yeah.
and going out and doing this, planting the trees, doing these things. And it's because we've been and become rather so busy working, because our generation was a generation of workers at a higher level, a higher academic level, work in an office, work in this place, work in that place, where we, because we've been trying to work to earn a dollar, really have abandoned the opportunity to really show our children sometimes more things in life. You know who enjoying that right now? I was saying that sometime.
Yeah.
The Spanish immigrants who are in our country are enjoying what we enjoy. Look at them in their communities now. I could see them in my community as well.
Yeah.
Small boat, riding bicycle, making the little things, making toys out of nothing.
Yeah.
And they are having a fantastic life. Their children are having an innovative, fantastic life, doing the things that we used to do.
Yes.
That now, because we become so technologically advanced, that we didn't give to our children, all our children. Our children are like blank pieces of paper, honestly.
Yeah.
And we have to admit that. And for those who have younger ones now coming up, take the time, as I say in closing,
Yeah.
to put writing on that paper. You have a newborn, commit to yourself that you don't want to just grow them up in this whole technologically advanced society. Nobody's saying to make them into some kind of cult and you can't touch this, but let them see the excitement of doing things naturally, of planting a tree, seeing the tree grow, taking care of a pet, a dog, something. These are the things that we had the opportunity. If it was 10 potong, we have about 10 and we minding on. And we honestly didn't give our children the opportunity, I can tell you that.
So
because they're so focused on just being this successful when it comes to earning an income, opposed to living a whole holistic, fruitful life.
That's right.
And I really, in closing, want to admonish parents, possibly that are recently fathers, and them couldn't come on for us to be able to go at it like this, David.
Yes.
But I had a real good time talking about it. I think we touched every aspect of education. As I said, we looked at the academic, the one that is predominantly the one that's most popular, the one that's predominant. We looked at vocation and the value of vocation and lifestyle as being viewed education. Then we looked at the education when it comes to social education, and even we touched on spiritual education. We should have touched on it some more, because that was another very key component part of life as well.
Exactly.
So I think if we start seeing all these forms of education on a similar wavelength, that all are valuable to the holistic development of a human being, none outweighing the other, I think we will have a better generation going forward. Because I think the problem in our generation is that our parents drove us into academic realm because jobs, particularly in a country like this, where possibly there was colonizers and certain jobs weren't allowed to put enough color, whether African or East Indian, and now you could be a doctor, and now you could be asking and working in the bank, and now you could do these things that time caused our parents to push us in that direction just to get a taste of what that felt like. And I think we now need to relearn things.
Yes, I quite agree. It's been fantastic, the discussion. You put me in a real spot.
Which one?
But I enjoy doing it. I enjoy filling in the blanks.
Yes, man. Yes, man.
I've been so trained. I want to thank you, and of course, Fathers Association for keeping the belief in men that we can make a turnaround.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Before we go, I just wanna thank you guys who came on, who messaged. Make sure share these videos. Come out next week. This week we're going to be campaigning heavily for the next week's show as well. So thanks for having me again, David. Thanks for Power 102 Digital again for the time you all have allotted. You guys have a blessed week. Stay safe and keep well.
Thank you so much, Rondell.
That's it.
Yes, that's it for today's edition of Hard Talk with the Fathers Association / Fathers Single Fathers Association with their president, Rondell Fields. We'll be back next Friday with another edition of the Fathers Association right here at Power 102 Digital.